Hello, I'm Georgia Nugent, president of Illinois Wesleyan University. I'm here this afternoon with Dr. Franklin Larey, who is our director of the School of Music. We are socially distanced this afternoon, but happy to be socially present with you. I thought it would be a nice opportunity for viewers of this tape to get to know Franklin, learn a bit about him. So Franklin, you, like I, were new to Illinois Wesleyan this summer, right?
That's correct. I arrived here I started on July 1st last year. I remember arriving here 2 days before and then settling in and starting my transition here with a wonderful help of Vicki Foltz, who is the director of the School of Nursing.
Oh, yes.
It's been a wonderful experience. I think looking back, one of the main reasons I came here was exactly the commitment to the Jeffersonian ideals of a liberal arts education, which I found to resonate with me when I interviewed for the position. That was confirmed. I have met only wonderful people. I've been warmly welcomed. Students have been extraordinary, and my first experience also with homecoming was quite an experience for me.
Oh, okay.
Because it's something that, from my background in South Africa, it's something that we don't do at our universities. So it was fascinating for me to see the sense of community, the commitment alumni have to the university, and to meet also so many music alumni at that time.
Which is
and we had a concert here. I played on the concert, met a lot of wonderful people, and it's been an absolutely extraordinary experience. So,
yeah, I think the sense of camaraderie and community and the lifelong attachment to universities is kind of striking in America and different. But let me ask you a little bit about, I know you came to us from the University of Cape Town.
Correct.
And I understand you had a long and complex relationship to that university. So I'd be interested to hear a bit about that.
Yes, that is a long and complex relationship, and very intertwined with the politics of South Africa. Obviously, I grew up in South Africa in a small town called Malmesbury, which is about an hour's drive north of the city of Cape Town. And during the years of apartheid, of course, we were all very segregated. I didn't have access to music education at all whatsoever. I had my first piano lesson at the age of 16, which is rather late, considering when kids start generally. And that was precisely because of the limited access to music education we had. It happened also by chance. My neighbor moved in next to us in Malmesbury, and he played the piano. And I sat at the fence listening to him all day long. And he was not a trained musician, so he started teaching me. In fact, it was my 16th birthday present from my parents. Oh. So I started, and I immediately knew it was what I wanted to do. And so I had about 2 years to prepare for university auditions, which was difficult.
Now, does that, I'm sorry to interrupt, does that give you a special relationship to students who may have not had the opportunities or started later?
Exactly, and I actually started a program at the University of Cape Town for underprivileged young kids who didn't have access to teaching, and so I taught them for free. So for about 20 years, I didn't have any Saturday off. So, and these kids, they were amazing. Some of them went on to study as Fulbright scholars in Oregon. Probably my best student is finishing his doctoral degree at the University of Cincinnati. And these were all kids that came from very poor communities where they didn't have the funds or access. So I worked with community organizations and churches quite a bit to have them make their pianos available. So that's a very, very special memory I have, and something that was difficult to give up. Mm-hmm. Right. I was talking about my growing up. When I wanted to study music, of course I couldn't go to the University of Cape Town because it was a white university. All universities were also segregated. I could go, but I had to get special permission from the government. And coming from a family quite involved in politics, we decided that was not
forthcoming.
No, it was not going to happen. And with hindsight, I think going to the University of the Western Cape was one of the best things that could have happened to me. I was comfortable. I was in an environment where I was supported. I was not in this kind of tense, racially charged environment. Mm-hmm. But eventually, after I finished my studies here in the United States, I came here as a Fulbright scholar in 1986. And after graduating from the University of Cincinnati, I returned to Cape Town and eventually became the director of the very same university where I couldn't go before, which was quite sweet.
That must be an extraordinary experience.
It was, yes.
So now, I know you did your doctorate at Cincinnati,
correct,
right? And then, I guess what I don't know, have you visited or had other appointments elsewhere in the States? Or you went back to South Africa? And
I taught in the preparatory division of the University of Cincinnati for just 1 year. When I finished my studies, though, I went straight back to Cape Town. Mm-hmm. And it was an opportune time. Of course, it was 1994, which was our first elections after. It was post-apartheid, so there were more opportunities. And so I was appointed as a professor in piano at the University of Cape Town first. And then after 2 years became the director of the school. The opportunities that came with that, there was a lot of press, a lot of hype around my appointment. I became the first black director of the school. Mm-hmm. And what was really quite extraordinary for me was my engagement with the arts community at the time, because I had to talk to the same people who wouldn't talk to me before.
Yes.
And so I had to negotiate concerts with the same agents who would just close the door on me before and told me that I couldn't play on the main stages of the country. So that was quite extraordinary.
It takes a lot of character.
Frankly. Yes. It was quite amazing to go through that process. So I played a lot of concerts, played with all of the orchestras in the country. I was planning to return on a tour this summer, but because of where we are with COVID-19,
not happening.
That's not happening. So.
Okay, so I have to ask you a totally off-the-cuff question. Praat je Nederlands ook niet?
Say again?
Praat je Nederlands ook niet?
Ik versta Nederlands. Ik versta Nederlands. It's very much like Afrikaans.
Yeah.
Afrikaans is like simple Dutch. It's quite amazing. Yeah. And you? Do you?
I've spent quite a bit of time in the Netherlands, and now my husband works for a Dutch company. So I was living in The Hague last year. I just thought it'd be a little different.
I have so many friends from Holland. I'm also the director of the Alumni Music School in Vermont. That happens every summer. So at the school, there are a lot of regular pianists coming from Holland. And every year, it's quite delightful to talk to them. They speak to me in Dutch, and I speak back in Afrikaans.
It's like us talking to British.
Yes, we can have a comfortable conversation, yes.
So I guess I was curious about your kind of musical biography. Who were the composers or the pieces that mean most to you, that you most enjoy playing?
Oh, it's such a difficult question, but I'm drawn to the music of Johannes Brahms, which is also my research area, and that was also my first recording it's a compact disc of all Brahms pieces. I play a lot of Mozart. I play a lot of Debussy and Ravel and Fauré, French composers I'm drawn to as well. it's so difficult. I think the best answer to that question is actually to tell you that whatever I'm playing, I'm drawn to, which is the reason I'm playing it also. So, and it can be a variety of composers, but there are a handful the ones that I just mentioned that I think stand out.
Yeah. I remember you and I were having a meeting with the provost earlier this year, and we were talking with Franklin, and we completed whatever our business was, whatever our discussion was, and he was carrying a score. And then when we were finished, I recall you saying, now I get to go and practice.
That is
being
true.
so excited about what you do is
Yes.
just terrific.
Yes.
So now you have left Cape Town. You're here in beautiful Bloomington, Illinois. And I think that when you came, one of the first things I remember you talking to me about is sending out a newsletter to begin to connect with that community of Illinois Wesleyan grads. And I thought maybe you'd say a little bit about that. What kind of response did you get? Why did you do it?
When I first arrived here, I realized, and with guidance, I realized that one of the first things I had to do was to rebuild connections with alumni, not only for the sake of the connection, but also for the sense of community and the contributions that alumni can make to our project. I sent out a newsletter, which the response was amazing, overwhelming. I received so many emails from alumni to thank me for connecting with them. I responded to each one of them and received some messages back from people surprised and shocked that I wrote back to them. but absolutely heartwarming responses. Some very moving. There was particularly one response from an alumnus who wrote to me about my appointment here as a black pianist from South Africa, and her experiences here with her best friend who was African American. He's African American, and the difficulty they had here a long time ago in the town. So those were very moving responses, and it's the kind of connection that we've been disrupted quite severely with our COVID crisis, but as soon as I can, I will reconnect with alumni and reach out to them to see how we can work together. I'm very excited about the prospects of starting a council, alumni council.
Oh, great.
Of advisors comprised of alumni, and to help me and my colleagues here see where the school is going, how they can help us, and to help us build and rebuild a strong program.
Right. That's wonderful. And of course, so many of our alumni, or a good number of our alumni, are themselves music educators.
Yes.
And that can always be helpful with recruitment, letting people know about the school.
Right.
We also have a particularly strong music community here, as I know you've already begun to discover in Bloomington. And I'm wondering about, we have the preparatory program, the Pratt Foundation, the scholars, and so on. Do you see those developing in the future? Or?
Absolutely. I've reached out already to some parts of the Bloomington normal community. I've reached out to African American churches. I had a wonderful experience going to a service where the music was absolutely electrifying. I've had conversations with the Pratt Foundation and engaging them in the scholarship programs, our summer programs. There is the instrument donation program that I'm working with them with. I think also I'm very, very, very excited about our latest appointment in Say-An as the conductor. And I just spoke with her this afternoon. We're already talking about reaching out, and Say-An brings with her this very special quality of reaching out to communities in terms of their participation in our symphony orchestra. And that is something that I want to see rebuilt, because my understanding also is that the Illinois Wesleyan Symphony Orchestra used to be a community-based orchestra as well. It used to involve the broader community. And I would like to see that develop, and also reach out to some of our high schools.
Absolutely.
And see how we can engage them. In one of my former projects, we had a special outreach program where we invited high school kids to sit next to chairs in the orchestra, and not only to rehearse, but they actually played in the performances, which was very exciting.
Oh, that's
so
a
those
great
are
idea.
examples of what can happen.
I think that with your arrival, we are going to build on that strong tradition and have a wonderful School of Music. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm looking forward to all of the opportunities that lie ahead.